Actually, I tried to do something different this time, but it's clear that I keep flying over the same space. I just see it from different angles. So let's start from here, which is a book which is not mine. No questions about my book, and I'm not going to talk about my stuff today, precisely. It's this book called Accelerate. Who's been reading this book already? Too little. That's already a problem. What's about this? Why is this book important? This book is not teaching that much new stuff. It's just looking at the science. They made a statistical survey, an official stuff, a large sample, to look what things were working, what things were not in software development. And Nicole Forsgren, PhD in statistics, was providing the strong background. And Jeff Campbell and Jim Kim, well, we are strongly opinionated in the DevOps community. But the thing was, with consultants, everything is anecdotal. We see projects that go well, we see projects that don't go well, but we don't see places where we are not in. So a single consultant would never ever give you a statistical information about something that was working. This book is, so it's something for you and probably for your boss also. And what is science saying in this territory? Well, the first message, loud and clear, is easy. DevOps is working. It's not a technical role, absolutely not. It's just like, let me read it loud. The findings from our research program shows clearly that the value of adapting DevOps as a cultural thing is even larger than we had initially thought. And the gap between high and low performers continues to grow. That's not small. Let me see the traits of DevOps. It's really weird me talking about DevOps, but we're going to get into that. Which are the traits that we're looking at? Frequent code deployments. Well, that's pretty good. Fast lead time from commit to deploy, fast recovery from downtime, and lower change failure rate. Let's see the numbers. Frequent code deployment up to 46 times more frequently. So it's not like I arrived a few seconds before the new. I just turn around you 46 times. Fast lead time from commit to deploy, up to 400 times faster lead time. So there are companies releasing once per year, and there are companies releasing, just like this, and like this, and like this, and they always release stuff. Fast recovery from downtime, up to 170 times faster. Lower change failure rate, 5 times lower change failure rate. But it's okay, so you made mistake. This time you're not beating 46-1, now it's just 5-1, but still recovery a lot faster than this. So the thing is actually shocking, like the distance between best performer and worst performers is a lot more than management usually imagines. Okay, then we have management trying to find a solution to this problem, which is easy. We just hire some DevOps, end of the problem. Or just we rename a department DevOps, and we have a dedicated DevOps team or stuff like that. We've been seeing this, it's just all around us. But that's not exactly the way to the solution. So let me touch another territory. What about microservices, the other buzzword of the last years? And interesting, there was not so much correlation between microservices adoption and success. So more frequently adopted between high performers, but not really significant differences according to the type of architecture we're building and not. So the message was kind of clear for me. That's my interpretation. Microservices by themselves are not enough. Why that? Well, microservice looks like it's a thing, but it's many interpretations, and the interpretation actually do matter. This is one interpretation that I had. Just like I was having a dinner with a friend and our colleague, and he said, like, I was in a microservice conferences, and we raised the hand, who's doing it event driven, and said, like, and it was me. I was a room full of 300 people that were doing microservices in, I need to access your microservice, and I need to access this microservice too. We expose some APIs, and that's the way we do. Well, are you not publishing events to enable some loose coupling? What are events? Oh, shit. And this is the other thing I heard. This is a colleague of mine in Italy saying like, well, I have such a big market right now, and customers are asking me to coordinate microservice deployment, which by definition is a unit of independent deployment. So what do you try to coordinate? So the real explanation for this thing is, I don't know if you remember this guy. If you remember the previous one, I mean, they go together, and it's very simple. Microservices are just like SOA, but the real explanation is this one. We screwed up SOA. We screwed up microservices exactly in the same way. And it's so easy. Just take a table, you wrap it with the service, you put it somewhere, and then, yeah, expose API and so on. That's what many companies are doing. And this, for me, is incredibly scary, because even if we had good information, and even if most of the good speakers about microservices are saying exactly the good lesson, well, there are tutorials somewhere which are driving big enterprising and doing this stuff. Why this is scary? Because we know how to refactor a monolith. But then if you just do it wrong and scatter the information in microservice, you still will have to refactor them, and it's going to be a lot more expensive. In the meanwhile, your organization will collapse under the weight of meetings for coordination and deployment coordination and all this stuff. Good luck. Please do something about it. Let's move on. What about the technology? Technology by itself was not a differentiator. Again, there was a big differentiator that was, well, a little victory for the DDD community: loose coupling. Loose coupling done well. Bounded context. This is the word that we really like. Why is that? My take is, if we do bounded context right, that loose coupling is not only at the software level, it's also at the people level. It means more people dedicated, more time dedicated to the right problems, and not to solve coordination issues or cascading failures and all this stuff. Okay, let's move on. I'm actually giving you a summary of the first part of the book, even if it's going to get into something different. The other very important factor here was culture. And actually, the subtitle is saying something. You can't just go DevOps in a vacuum. Just like you can say go DevOps, you can hire people that claim to be DevOps. I mean, it just takes nothing. Go on LinkedIn, add something. It's easy. Or make some practice with some tool. No, DevOps is actually a cultural thing. Is owning the process of delivering value, repeatable, consistently, making sure you master the whole pipeline from inception to deployment, and you're basically making somebody happy at the other end of the spectrum. But talking about the culture, and in the book, they also mention this Western classification. And I'm a little bit outside of my territory here, but they gave this classification and said, like, we basically have three stereotypes. One is pathological, power-oriented, or if you've been reading Reinventing Organization by Lalou, you might find something similar in the red type of organization. The second is bureaucratic, rules-oriented. So yes, that's the way we do things here. We have a procedure to follow, and we're not moving out of this one. And the one that was delivering actually value was generative. I'm not completely okay with the definition of performance-oriented, but okay, another scenario, another territory, so well, I'm fine with this. I found something resonating with what Kevin was saying in the talk before, like you don't know exactly where you're going when you're developing software, because if you know, you just buy it or cut and paste or link the URL, just like there's something that we are doing that we don't know in advance. We need a place to generate ideas and to deal with this. And this is the end of my summary for the book, because as I said, I'm not exactly in my territory, and I'm not really, even if I come from the DDD community, and I'm not really good in definition, so I would like to go somewhere else, in a place where I could just play with things in a more interesting way. And I'm not going to provide a definition for culture, and I have to admit that the term culture, or there's another term that I really hate in Italy, is mentality. I find it too often like an excuse for not doing anything. Like, oh, well, this is not going to work in our company. It's a mentality problem, and you cannot change this. Or it's, well, the company culture is this one. And there's a little voice well, it's not exactly a little voice, it's actually a strong voice growing up in my belly, which is saying, like, I think this is crap. I think culture so many times is an excuse. So I don't know if the next slide is going to be a definition, but it's something which is actionable for me, which is I think culture is just the cumulative effect of winning behavior within a given context, plus the power of imitation. And I'm going to give you an example. And I don't know if this is politically correct, but I'm going to be teasing Italians and Italian stereotypes, so let's see that. So let's see the bus ticket. There's something weird about Italians, which is we have a pretty bad reputation. We had a discussion about this even at dinner yesterday. Bad reputation for not buying the ticket for the bus. And why do we do this? I don't know what you do in France or in other countries, but let's see what might be the factors. So this is a typical Italian bus, and there's an experiment that a friend of mine did when he was at the university. Basically said, like, I think, I don't know if I have to buy the ticket for the bus or not. Well, for 1 year, I'm not going to buy any ticket and see what happens. At the end of 1 year, he just said, like, I saved something like 500 euros, more or less. I didn't remember, 300-400, something like that. That's a territory. So I said, like, I'm not going to buy a ticket again. It's just like, including the few times I was fined, it's just not worth the price. And of course, there were some moments where everybody in Bologna, where I studied, knew the faces of the controller. So you saw, okay, this guy with the mustache approaching, you just go down from the other door. Or they had to be like 3 controllers at the same time to get on the bus in order to catch the students, because students were really quick in going down. I mean, there's a lot of strategy, and it feels like if you need to arrest big drug dealers, you need to make some practice as being a controller on the bus. That's basically the same pattern. But look at this bus. So this bus has 3 doors, and the other thing that we do in Italy is you cannot buy the ticket on the bus. You're supposed to get on the bus already with the ticket in order to speed up operation. Multiple entry points on the bus, again, to speed up operation. A lot of people going down, a lot of people going up, and a lot of people waiting. So if everybody's entering from the front of the bus, then it takes more time. It's very, very easy to jump on without a ticket. And you're doing it in a chaotic environment, so nobody's actually looking at you. Well, sometimes you have to go stamping, but maybe you have a subscription, so maybe you don't have to stamp. And anyway, well, you can do many things. So the thing for is, in this scenario, is actually, if you do cheating, why don't risk it that much? Just like nobody's looking bad at you, maybe they might feel like, oh, you actually haven't stamped the ticket, but maybe you were coming from another one, another bus. So there's so many reasons not to show the ticket. Okay, that's more or less the dynamics in Italy and the result that I told you. Then I was traveling in some other countries, and then you get in from the front door, and in the front door, or you have a ticket, then you stamp it, or you buy the ticket. Oh, well, so if you don't have the money for the ticket, you're slowing down everything. Oh, yes, there's a little bit of a peer pressure if you don't have the money for the ticket, but that's the only place you get in. So it's really weird. You go in, you are supposed to pay the ticket. There's a person looking at you and say, like, well, what about the ticket? Well, you're not talking with me. No, you can't do this, because this person is actually looking at you. I was in Amsterdam a few months ago. That's even better. That's actually the old version, the new version of the cabin. This is in the center of the bus. So you get in. You actually have a desk. It looks like a clean pub. And there's this lady or this man smiling at you. And of course, this person is looking at you. The only thing you can do is just show your ticket or buy the ticket, even if it feels like ordering a beer sometimes. Even better, one day we were getting in the bus from the front because we were running, jumping on the bus, and we were just going to the back of the train where the second person was ready to make the ticket, and the bus driver was switching off the microphone and saying, "Gentlemen, the tickets, please." So the whole bus was looking at us. He was cool. He said, "Gentlemen," so not so much rudeness, not at all. He was really kind, but everybody was looking at us. The pressure was we had to make the ticket. Okay, fine. So the thing was, the winning behavior in the Netherlands or in other countries was you follow the rules. If I don't pay, everybody's looking at me. It's not like people are thinking like, oh, maybe this guy has a ticket already. It's just like there's peer pressure. There's everybody else on the bus looking at me like, why is this guy not paying? Is he a squatter or a criminal, whatever? And the whole judgment of all the peers in the bus, if you cheat, you actually feel like a loser. So the funniest thing that happened to me in general is just like, if you get Italians outside of Italy, not when they are on holiday, it doesn't really work, but on a longer time, they behave in a completely different way. They follow the rules. They stand in a line in London, and it's just about the place you are. They completely change the habits. Then they get back to Italy. Oh, okay, that's the way here. So it's not about the culture. It's not about the mentality. It's about the system that surrounds, and let me make it visible. You can make design choices that define the interaction, and this interaction will shape the culture. That's what happened on the bus. Just like the shape of the bus is just deciding what is the winning behavior. In a Dutch bus, the winning behavior is paying or showing the ticket. In an Italian bus, it's just like jumping on the bus from the back and pretending nothing happened and hope that the controller with the mustache is not showing up. Okay, that's my take. It's not a definition of culture, but it's something a little bit more actionable, because this tool is giving me a responsibility and try to understand which are the interactions that I can touch. Now we're going to get into a couple of thinking tools that I discovered I used when trying to read and maybe change something in the culture. Tool number one is what I call the pink check. I already talked about it a few years ago, and then also Nick Thune started using it in some situation, but I actually changed it a little, so let's have a quick recap. I'm talking about Daniel Pink and what he's writing in the book Drive. And there's something that I like in this book, something that I might not like, but I really like the summary, and I find it incredibly actionable. And the thing which is in this video, that's actually awesome. 15 minutes, that might be a game changer. And his theory really, really shrunk to the minimum. It's just like, what is going to motivate us? What is driving us to do things? And it's a combination of three main factors. One is autonomy, the ability of doing things without depending from somebody else. The second is a feeling of mastery, feeling like I am good in what I do. I am damn proud of my carbonara. I cook it exactly the way I want it, and when I also don't need anybody else to help me in doing this. And the third one is purpose. Well, of course, with the carbonara, it's easy. You just eat it at the end and feel happy doing it. But why am I doing this? If you just take purpose away, a lot of bad things might happen. But if you have the combination of three factors, that's usually a pretty good thing. Can I make it sure this is science and proven? Not yet, but worked very well in every situation that I tried. So now let's see if I can use this one as a check for a real-life situation. Scenario number one is the builders team. This comes from a company I was coaching a few years ago, and it was a very weird situation because they had one of the best team in Italy. Very cool, very good XP and agile practices. And they were builders of a product that was a market leader. So it was a startup that was growing. They built the whole stuff on good practices. Well, that was great. So, and then also, well, positive feedback loops. The company was growing, everything was growing, the money was growing, the situation was really, really good. One of the best companies I've had the chance to visit. Let me see what was happening on the pink check. Talking about autonomy, yes, totally yes. Everything was okay. They built a thing from scratch. They had some little dependencies. Well, who doesn't? But the whole core of the code was built by the same people. The people stayed in the company, so they knew the nuances, and they made everything under strong TDD. So yes, it works. Good. Passed. Mastery. Absolutely yes. Like they built everything. They were proud of their practices. They were, of course, doing refactoring, discovering bad stuff in the past, but everything was under control. What about the purpose? Well, they saw the thing growing. The company still is not bad, but something happened later. But at this time, looked like we're doing good stuff for us, for our friends, for colleagues, for the family. Everything was in good shape, and the energy was great. So this was a starting point. Again, one of the best teams overall, probably one of the best 3 teams overall in Italy. And the same team, sometimes later, they still have a great team. So the people were probably even better. They improved more skills. And even the company was growing. So they were going to launch a new product. But they made a little change. I said, like, well, instead of building everything from scratch, now we are a more mature company, let's start from this platform as a base to make our new product, which is something different. And was a design that was coming from a mixture of management and architecture and looked like a good idea. But unfortunately, it was not. So 6 months later, they were actually in bad shape. That's the moment they called me. And talking about autonomy, it was completely gone. So the thing that was happening, it was building on somebody else's platform. They felt like, I need to open that box, but I can't. I'm running my services. I'm making my code on top of this platform. I don't trust this platform at all, but I can't open the box and change the wires. While every time there was a failure in the previous version, they basically said, like, well, I'm going to fix it right now. Let me open the editor. There was something like a circle of pride that was broken in the past code base, and now they feel like I can't solve this stuff by myself because there is a contract. I'm not owning the source code of the external components. I need to call somebody else to try to make it to fix it, and they're making me wait because we don't know if it's exactly a bug. Of course, it's a bug. I have customer losing money and blah blah blah. Instead of coding, it was litigation. Fantastic. What about mastery? Mastery was even more embarrassing because. Probably the moment everything went apart was a consultant from the platform vendor came in and said, like, oh, we already seen a situation like this. Well, you can do something like you just cut and paste this and put a copy of this. You make in this other place. You make a reference with this one, but then you have to remember to do this, and it's going to work perfectly. Do we test this solution? Well, no, but we work with another customer. And this team of builders that were doing hardcore TDD were feeling insulted, and the suggestion to work on a solution that was absolutely violating every hygiene rule was actually insulting. And talking about the purpose was gone. Just like some people stayed in the company for a while, just maybe to keep on with the salary, but bad news is just like 6 months later, not a single person of the original team was in the company. And the company was still really good. But everybody felt like kind of broken. So a few things were interesting for me as a learning. One, as people in a domain-driven design community, we underestimate the power of bounded context because I remember those dynamics. So there's something specific about the bounded context in not having dependencies from the outside. Well, autonomy. There's also the fact that if I'm working in a bounded context which is isolated, if something is broken in this piece of code, the only possible responsible people is me and my team. I cannot blame the outside world. Well, it's because of the platform, it's because of the shared database, it's because of the other department. No, if there's something broken inside this box, it's because of us. What is the conclusion? Well, nothing needs to be broken in this piece of software. We make sure that this piece of software is rock solid, because the only possibility of this piece of software to be broken is because we did a mistake. So we improve, because there is no excuse, it's us. If we have bounded context, the only reason for failure is us. The result is a virtuous cycle. It's just like it has to work because we did it and we are good. If you share something, if you can blame the outside, if you can blame a platform, it's raining, well, it does happen, well, that's pretty bad, what a shitty day. I don't want to be there. The second thing that changed a lot is just like the power of purpose. So well, I actually lied. There's a picture from an event storming workshop, but that's not the thing that I want to care about. It's because we need these sometimes in order to see this clarity of purpose, in order to get into why are we writing all this software, who is going to be happy at the end of the flow, and this is a pretty good indicator, a pretty good tool, weapon in order to make good stuff. So a team with a clear purpose is a formidable weapon. You just don't have to tell the team what to do. It's just like you're building this for this purpose, and they're gonna find solution. That's working pretty well. If you don't have a purpose, well, you try to do some other stuff. Keep this in mind, because if you have a clear purpose, magical thing can happen. I said 2 tools. I'm getting in tool number 2. The feedback check. Actually, all the talks of today, all the talks that I attended today were giving me hints and ideas and thoughts or different perspectives of things that I wanted to talk about. So this was happening too. That was during Samir talk, but also Ulrika's talk this morning was great, and Kevin was touching something that I will be touching to. It looks like we've been hovering over the same problem. But let's look at the feedback check, which is actually a little bit more grounded, because I wanted to look at which are the feedback loops around my development team. And one thing that you might look like, which are the feedback channels? How do we get feedback? Can you access your customer? Can you access your user? Or are you talking to the outside world only through Jira? Or maybe to the Facebook page of your company where users are insulting your tools? Second question, how can we know we're doing a good job? Because customers are not complaining, maybe that's not enough. Who are we making happy? Is there any person which actually is benefiting from our software? What is this software for? Who are we making? I want to see some smile sometimes at the end of the tunnel. Are we learning the right thing? Where are we learning the information from? Are we learning from specification? Are we learning from old specification? Okay. How does good and bad feedback arrive? Sorry, I just clicked it too quickly. Okay, how long should I wait for good and bad feedback? This thing is actually relevant. Let me run the feedback check on the DevOps team as a stereotypical good DevOps. We get feedback from users and metrics right after we release. Well, that's good. You get feedback. It's not guaranteed to be always good feedback, but it's quick. Mistakes are removed quickly, lower cognitive load, which means like if you make a mistake and if you get negative feedback, it's probably about something you just done in the last 2 days, or maybe even less. So you still have this in mind. Oh, well, yes, I forgot this. You get a little bug. You know this scenario. When you get this little bug, you realize, oh, yes, that's something that I forgot, and you can correct it really quickly. If you get exactly the same bugs 6 months later, what the hell was I thinking that day? Or maybe you already left the company. So the cost of correcting these bugs is a lot bigger. So it's not only lower cognitive load, that goes on the speed, but also accelerated learning. You did something, you did a mistake. Oh, not that, I will never do it again. And the learning can sparkle new ideas quickly. And yes, that's something to consider. Sometimes the feedback loop is slow in the business. Like in some businesses, like well, let's say you're making whiskey, you can learn really, really quickly, but to get the result, you might have to wait a little bit more than a couple of releases. So please include the delay as part of the feedback cycle. But delay is actually important for this reason. So that's another summary of a principle that I use in many situations. It's just like people won't improve a system if they won't stay around long enough to see the benefits. It was me at the university pretending to change everything and then, well, no, it's not going to happen. Finish the exam and go away. Or that's my summary. Have you ever repainted a hotel room? You hate the color. I had the chance to sleep in brown rooms. Nobody wants to sleep in a brown room, but it's just for tonight. Then if you have a rented flat which brown walls, well, I guess I can stay here a couple of weeks, but a couple of months, or I change the place, or I change the paintings. But this is not precise, but I think it's actionable, because then it becomes a time versus time comparison, the time to enjoy the benefit of a given action and my life expectancy in the system. And you know this feedback, when you start looking for a new job, you suddenly, I'm not going to change anything here. I'm just waiting for failure to happen. I'm not pushing anymore. And you can read it in the people phase. Some zealots, I will try to improve something, but it's an addiction. Most of the time, it's just like, no, I decided to quit. It's so relaxing right now. So remember this. That's same slide from the beginning. DevOps is working because we have quick cycles and so on. If you think about my past sentence, we have this little problem. If the loop is too long, remember the distance from quick performers to fast performers, to slow performers. Some system won't improve at all because you would never see the change, so we don't even try. And long release cycles are slowly killing your organization. Not really. I'm actually trying to make you feel miserable. Really sorry about it. Giving some homework, but I will actually try to go faster on this one. I'm going to give you another scenario, what I call the sadness machine. I was visiting another company that has these. You know the shape of death of a Gantt here, but they had this organization. So they had product teams working on new features, and the release cycle for the new feature was something like 9 months. And then they had distributed national teams working on the local version, starting from the code that was released by the other team. And the side teams were doing the customization, something like 6 more months to do the customization for the final installation. So don't even look about the lead time. That's more than 1 year. That's actually embarrassing. And I had the chance to talk with the CTO that was making my drawing like, is this the way you're working? Yes, that's the way it has to work like this. It's perfect. And I was, I never worked in a place like that could never work. And no, that's exactly the way it's working. Okay, let me run the ping check quickly because I saw the signal. Just like, did the guys have autonomy? Not at all. Nobody could deliver any piece of value. Everybody was just a gear in the machine. Did they have mastery? Well, actually, it probably didn't even matter. Just like nobody would catch me, or I'm going to be gone the moment this goes into production. And do they have a purpose? Well, that was actually the scenario. Nobody had even the chance to talk with the user. Actively prevented from having one. Let me look at the check of the feedback loop. Positive feedback. So in order to get the thank you, if you were lucky, you had to wait at least 15 months. Which is not exactly rewarding, and just like, no direct contact with the user, working on specification, which means also most of the time releasing to a middleman. So if even one person was telling, oh, that's a good work, you don't trust the bastard, because the person is a middleman, just somebody telling you, well, good work, but the real feedback is happening 6 months later. The bad feedback was a different thing, just like could happen at any moment in time. All the other teams after you could blame you, could open you a bug, and even after release, and maybe it was not even your fault, but somebody tracking back, well, for that, it's a customization team problem. No, it's a nationalization change. Oh, well, we did it right at the beginning. No, you changed it. You know the feeling. And so it was actually happening for no control on the reason, and never connected with your actual work. I mean, you get a negative feedback 15 months later. What the hell is that? So, talking about negative feedback and delay from the point of view of learning is actually critical. So don't get it as an insult, but if you want to teach something to a dog, you need to tell the dog, give a dog a feedback exactly in the moment the dog is doing something wrong. Negative feedback 1 hour later, it's just like a punishment without any reason. The dog is going to feel ashamed, and while humans are not that different, you punish me for what? I mean, just did I actually put the bug, or it was my colleague, or just a misunderstanding, but I get punished. Maybe it's not a punishment, but just spend extra hours. The delay between the moment that we made a mistake and the time actually matters. Let's look at it on a time scale. So this is a positive feedback, maybe months later, but I have to wait 15 months to get a thank you. Fantastic, by design. And then is the negative feedback that could happen at any moment in time with the gravity for all the time. This is Kafka. Just not the tool, but the style. It was by design a place where negative feedback could arrive randomly at any moment in time, and positive feedback only after 15 months, maybe. Fantastic. Quick on this one. Sorry, big finger. So microservice architecture, this was in a bank. They were delivering new stuff, and they said like, oh, you have to be depending on 12 external services. Well, fantastic, let's go loose coupling, and no. Everything is gonna be done synchronously. And well, we cannot guarantee an SLA on top of 12, 13 external services if they are not working. No, you have to, that's in the contract. And they said like, it's been working for this setting for 6 months, we never saw the 12 services up at the same time. Never. That's in the SLA. So, talking about autonomy, no, you are at the mercy of a dozen of enemies. Mastery, no. Purpose, just like pretending it was not me. You have everything is lost. And what about the positive feedback? They didn't believe they could actually deliver anything. Again, no direct contact with the end user, working on specification, releasing to a middleman, and so on. Bad feedback, any moment in time, for a dozen reasons, and so on. So, get back to the dog, that's what you have. Fear, not really clear, but is actually fear. So, the thing that is really relevant in talking about ecosystem, which is something that we can design. This was not bad luck. This was the design of architect and the management and the design in ecosystem, is that the fact that good developers are usually okay in paying for their own mistakes. No problem, I did something wrong. I want to cover this. I want to make a test, make sure the code is okay. But we actually hate paying for somebody else's mistake. And the thing that is really relevant in the ecosystem we can design with our architecture is actually this one. We can create something which is bubbles of safety, but also responsibility and pride. It's the way we organize our work, the way we cooperate, the way our architecture shapes our interaction is actually really relevant and is shaping the emotional environment of our workplace. So, incredibly, I got to a summary point. Thing number one is actually pretty easy. Buy a copy of this book. Buy 2, one for you, one for your boss. And originally it was before Christmas, but you can find some reason to give a little present. Just thought about you, yeah. And the second thing is just is the reason why I've been choosing this picture. I've been actually They say I'm too tired to listen to people that said something like, oh, that's a process problem, or that's a software architecture problem. You cannot do agile coaching and or work on process and interaction and collaboration without touching the architecture. The architecture is just enforcing given dysfunctional collaboration or functional collaboration. It's not orthogonal at all. It's just like emotions are driving people to make a bad code, architectures are driving people to have bad emotions, and processes are mixing all the things. It's a tangle. You cannot attack this problem only from one angle. As I said, emotion matters. The moment you're in a place which is driven by fear, do you really think you can make good code and save the situation? You can be randomly punished by a bug that it was not you. Or you can be in a place where the only reason for a bug was you, then you're happy to solve it. This is the summary of what I said before. Again, your architectural choices can shape the interaction and the culture of your workplace. The thing that was making a big shift in the DevOps idea, in the microservices done well, is the fact that we have a smaller group with a very, very clean responsibility to a given portion of the business, to a smaller number of people that are actually happy of the software that we're dealing with. We are releasing quickly. We are making users happy. We are making colleagues happy. The circle is closing, and we're having good rewards. It's not like we don't get standing ovation, but feels like it's a good stuff. And you can shape it because software architecture is in your territory. And if you ignore this, okay, you're designing a miserable workplace for you and your colleagues. So make your choice wisely. Remember the bus. And talking about software architecture and the domain-driven design angle, and just like we keep thinking about boundary context of unit of language consistency, that's the definition. The real idea is to have unit of purpose, independent models with a very specific purpose with no trade-off, but more often than not, I realize that they map a lot into unit of responsibility because the purpose is of given people, and when working and doing things right, might be unit of pride. If you don't protect your borders, then it's somebody else's fault, and then it doesn't really work. Still part of the summary, the whole idea of a boundary is for me a unit of safety. I want to make sure it's not raining inside the house, it's not raining inside the building. If anything goes wrong, it's still something which is under our control. If we don't have this control over safety, we're not going to make an experiment, and learning is not going to happen, and evolution is not going to happen. A little bit less friendly recommendation here. It's just like, just might want to read the comic, and just like stop splitting your monolith around data, because that's going to make your company a lot worse. And I don't even know if companies have budget for refactoring back from this mistake. So it might actually be the end of humanity. Just trying to be optimistic. But please don't do this. Final recommendation, I think, almost final. If you don't have this horizon alignment, if your boss is thinking short term and you're thinking like, I want to make a code base which is going to grow with me for the next 15 years, you're going to have hard times. Like the best solutions are happening when both management and the software development team are thinking long terms. That's not an external ingredient, is actually part of the recipe from the very beginning. Like you cannot think short term and pretend that we also wrote a test, so it's going to be enough. No, think about the place you want to be. If you think this is a place I want to stay, then you're going to improve it. And it has to be you and your bosses, and just like otherwise it's not collaboration. The final thing is whatever is your company doing, whatever is your team doing, whatever is your organization doing, find your purpose and a lot of amazing things will happen. So find the people that are gonna be happy about the service you deliver. Find somebody that is gonna find some emotional bonding about it, and that's gonna be the best driver for everything else that could happen in this flow. I guess that was my last slide. That is the thing to look at, and yeah, I guess my job is done. Thank you.